Last night I was in like a frenzied state. I had this image in my head and it was just driving me forward. Then I hit a wall. I was like, that's a good place to stop. And I stopped. So I'll pick this up in the morning when I get a chance, or whenever in the day. I really like this. This is great. I had this scene in my head. 2 different scenes. Started with just one. Started making these paper dolls again. Because I'd always been curious about it. Reverse sides. Them having 2 sides, because one's one angle, reverse would be another angle. Because this is isometric. This is her in a 3D world. Get that? So like the objects around her. This is the floor, right? She's taking her steps. Reverse is a different angle. I'll show that in a second though. So I have the scene. Playing around with other versions of this, first cutouts, and I had this scene of Ripley in her underwear, right? There's like a combination of things where it was led to like trying to make something sexy or hot. It's like I don't want that part in me to take over, or it just tries to make an attractive thing. However, there can be attractive elements. These are thoughts, crossing as I'm making these things. It's like not letting those distract me. And obviously Ripley comes into mind, where it's like this scene, this great vulnerable scene, this fucking just amazing scene at the very end, where she has to get into the suit because the alien's on the escape pod with her. And she's in her underwear t-shirt. So I had in my head a different image. I got excited because it was like, there's this suit encased. She has to get to it. She's in this tight spot. It was a vague image, but it was enough. I was like, oh, I know I can make a picture out of that. Because that got me thinking about the reverse of this. And it's kind of fun, like thinking about hair, what a reverse could look like. Well, tape's not super tight. Have to make all these little adjustments. Who knows how it'll look? Best start giving me ideas, right? It's like seeing how this all looks. And this is now a different angle. She's standing on top of the platform. We're looking up. And I had that scene in my head of her with the machine gun and the flamethrower. And her going after Newt, right? And so she'd be eventually, I'll find a different way of doing this. But essentially, right, holding things, moving stuff around. So it was really fun, the idea yesterday, is playing with this stuff and not really, because what I was doing is I was building these little parts to get to this stage of then starting to position. And I left that to today. Left that for myself to do. It took me hours to kind of sit with this. And I was like, I let myself take time and play around with it. So I'm not taking away from that. It's then all of the questions come up on the other side. So I started looking at the actual scene, which is nothing like it is in my mind. And that was frustrating because I wanted to have some overlap and accuracies. I wanted to have some coils and stuff to make you think of the xenomorph itself, right? The alien itself. But then that looked too busy. But I wanted to do some tightening the frame, like making it, the spaces enclosed in her, in on her. Because this one I wanted to be open and expansive, but also claustrophobic feeling. So initially I had it in a glass enclosure. Now she like backs into it. Several of them hanging up. So I'm gonna rethink it. And then when I went over here, I started thinking about the grates and what she's standing on and all the different platforms like in the movie. What kind of objects were in the background. Right, and you're sitting with this and you're trying to like position her in this space. Realizing, oh, the angle isn't right, so it came down, tried it again. And then I framed it in to see what it looked like. And it's just these basic shapes. Just really basic. Can't even see it that well. Of this shot. So trying to think should be right here, right here. So I think because the gun's on this side, it has to be, given this angle. And she was right-handed in the movie, if it matters any. And what I would change is the angle of that. Oops, I did the same thing. It would be and then stairs. I would be free to leave the gun here. And so she's looking up into that space, into that dark, right? Because she has to go save her from, I don't know if she even knows that there's a queen alien, but whatever. Has to go do that. And I like the two different scenes, and now it's like spending time thinking about them. And it's this is one of the parts I'm learning how to get through. My interest, when it carries me through, it carries me for hours. And it really is cool. It's neat watching, because I can even step back and say, wow, I'm tired, I'm all this, but it doesn't matter. I'm really into this. And I just keep following it. When I lose that thread, when I lose that flow, that seamlessness, oftentimes because I have to stop and think about it and play off things, and it just becomes a muddy experience, I drop it. And I think, well, it wasn't worth it anyway. And so I'm catching my thoughts, saying, well, it's not worth it anymore. It's like, yeah, that's true. If my purpose was to stay in a flow state only, then yeah, I can do something to get back into that flow state. And maybe this isn't it. Maybe this is taking it as far as it needs to go. But I think, no, I also need these other skills of being able to push through that muddy experience and keep going, so that in the future I can continue, the flow state can go further. That it doesn't stop here. The flow state continues into mapping it out. And so one of the things I'm going to test tonight after I get off the phone here is take this back out to the garage. I've got my limits now. It's simple. Take away as many objects. She's the focus. The empty space is the focus. Empty space is the focus. And to not be caught up in all of this. Because what I'm doing here with these videos, or I'm beginning to do with the videos, is notice what comes up for me. Notice what is acting like a block and how to get past it. And I know tons and tons and tons of people have to figure this out. So I feel encouraged in a lot of ways because I get to just be another person that gets to figure it out. It really is good. I like that it got messy, though obviously in the movie she doesn't get messy with alien blood, especially because it would kill her. So I don't know. Like I had written up here last night scenes I love, and immediately this scene and aliens. Get away from her, you bitch! But again, that's not what the scene is. She's in the mech suit, and so I don't want to actually stick to a scene. But it's the feeling that I want to get from the movies, coupling it with these scenes. But overall, I want an excuse to make this stuff. So like I had the scene of The Thing, but what? Like what thing exactly? Like one scene I always loved was McCready got back in after he'd been locked outside, and he's like sitting against the wall with the flamethrower and the dynamite, right? And then there's also the scene with him holding the tubes, burning them, testing, seeing who's who. And so then setting that against what? Flipping it around. Just like, I don't know. Again, we're making it up as we go. But it's the vibe that I care about, not the accuracy of the scene. Who gives a shit about the accuracy of the scene? That's left for people that want to get those things right. That's not me. And so these, again, are reminders of what is it that I care about. It's like, it's the mood, it's the thing, the tension. I really like the tension, and I want the tension to show through with these scenes, and in a lot of ways, because it's already been established through another movie, I'm just doing a little still shot of it. That's all nice. It all sounds really good. The thing I need to do is just keep making it. That's the part that's most important. And so I keep getting caught up in, oh yeah, it would look good in these ways. And that's what drives me forward, and realizing I'm trying to use my emotions to carry me forward. And I gotta say, that does make it way better. Way, way better. Because then you can get excited, I can feel things more, and it's more interesting. So those paper dolls really are fun. Like, I spend time looking at little tiny cuts and how to make movements happen. And that's, I don't know, there's something fun about it. Making little joints and what are the limits of it. I realized, like, being creative and looking at these problems and wanting to figure them out. And it's like, I really like that. And I'd really like to be able to use this attitude, this perspective, this approach in my life. And I think I'd like to learn how to do it better. So let's try it with this. Start recognizing it, see where it is, figure out ways to bring it out. And so I'm gonna try to do that. So play some music, smoke a little bit, create a fun scene. Just go for it.